social distancing, whether we like it or not, is now our new normal. It must be and time as we conquer this to live recently where health or call like symptoms, simple as they may. Fellow Kenyans, of our citizens, work and the sacrifice on our combined behalf, it is incumbent service providers. Any more persons compulsory quarantine and counted and continue to give you up-to-date information of where we stand and actions that we need to take to protect the health and well-being of our nation. May God bless each and every one of you. May God bless the Republic of Kenya. I thank you all for your attention. Asanteni sana. And to ensure that we continue to follow the procedures as laid out to all of us, the National Security Council of the Republic of Kenya has today sanctioned and caused the issuance of Public Order Number 1 on the coronavirus pandemic with the following key aspects. That effective Friday, 27th March 2020, there will be a daily curfew from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. And this shall be in effect in the territory of the Republic of Kenya, with all movement by persons not authorized to do so, or not being medical professionals, health workers, critical and essential service providers, being prohibited between these hours. The full in sharing the burden occasioned by the present global health pandemic over the duration of the global crisis, and commencing immediately, my administration has offered a voluntary reduction in salaries of the senior ranks of the National Executive as follows. The President and Deputy President, 80%. Cabinet Secretaries, 30%. Chief Administrative Secretaries, 30%. Principal Secretaries, a reduction of 20%. I call on the other arms of government and tiers of government to join us in this national endeavor by making similar voluntary reductions, which will free up monies to combat this pandemic. Further to the guidelines issued encouraging state agencies to establish and implement frameworks for staff to work from home, I also today hereby direct and order that all state and public officers with pre-existing medical conditions and or aged 50 years of age and above, serving in job group S and below, or their equivalents, to take leave or forthwith work from home. This order excludes personnel in the security sector and other essential services, as shall be outlined in the circular that has been issued to the public service on the 16th of March, 2020. Fellow Kenyans, the Central Bank of the Republic of Kenya has additionally rolled out the following measures. That is, the lowering of the central bank rate, the CBR, to 7.25% from the prevailing 8.25%, which should prompt commercial banks to lower the interest rate to their borrowers, availing the much-needed and affordable credit to all our businessmen and women. They have also lowered the cash reserve ratio, the CRR, to 4.25% from the current 5.25%, and this move should provide additional liquidity to the tune of Kenya shillings 35 billion to commercial banks, and this should directly support borrowers that are distressed as a result of the economic effects of this virus. Furthermore, the Central Bank of Kenya shall provide flexibility to banks with regard to requirements for loan classification and provisioning for loans that were performing as at March 2nd, 2020, and whose repayment period was extended or restructured due to this pandemic. I have also reorganized the ordinary calendar of Cabinet and its committees, as well as key state agencies, so as to apply a whole-of-government approach to the COVID-19 pandemic and to foster enhanced responses to the same. Yesterday, Kenya had 25 confirmed cases of the coronavirus, and today we have received confirmation of an additional 3 cases, bringing our national tally to 28 confirmed cases. At the same time, and amidst this trend, I am also pleased to announce that numerous other suspects or suspected cases have been found to be negative after rigorous testing. But more importantly, today we have registered our first patient who has fully recovered from this virus. This, fellow Kenyans, is a clear indication that we can and indeed will defeat this virus. Many more persons, both Kenyans and foreigners, remain under close monitoring, either under self-quarantine or compulsory quarantine measures, which have been taken to ensure the safety of all our people. I wish to assure you that as a government, both at national and county levels, we are implementing strict evaluation and monitoring protocols designed to proactively seek out and test persons who may be carriers of this virus. That with immediate effect, the management of the Kenya Ferry Service shall be vested in the National Police Service, the Coast Guard, and the National Government Administration Officers, NGAO, and all citizens shall be expected to obey and to follow the rules and procedures that shall be set out for crossing that ferry. So in order to protect jobs for our people and to provide some certainty for both employers and their employees, I, as your President, do today order and direct as follows. First, that the National Treasury moves to Parliament to offer the following immediate reliefs: an increased disposable income to the people of Kenya through A 100% tax relief for persons earning a gross monthly income of up to Kenya shillings 24,000. A B, reduction of the income tax rate or pay as you earn from its current maximum of 30% to 25%. C, a reduction of resident income tax or corporation tax from 30% to 25%. A D, a reduction of the turnover tax rate from the current 3% to 1% for all micro, small, and medium enterprises. E, the appropriation of an additional Kenya shillings 10 billion to the elderly, orphans, and other vulnerable members of our society through cash transfers by the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection to cushion them from the adverse economic effects of COVID-19. F, the temporary suspension of the listing with the Credit Referencing Bureau, or the CRB, of any person, micro, small, or medium enterprise, as well as corporate entities whose loan account fall due or is in arrears, effective 1st of April 2020. Number 2, that the National Treasury shall cause the immediate reduction of the VAT rate from 16% to 14%, effective the 1st of April 2020. 3, that all ministries and departments shall cause the payment of at least Kenya shillings 13 billion of the verified pending bills within 3 weeks from the date hereof. Similarly, and to improve liquidity in the economy and ensure businesses remain afloat by enhancing their cash flows, And we also, in the same breath, encourage the private sector to clear all outstanding payments amongst themselves within the same 3-week period. And 4, that the Kenya Revenue Authority shall expedite the payment of all verified VAT refund claims amounting to some Kenya shillings 10 billion within 3 weeks, or in the alternative, allow for the offsetting of withholding VAT in order to improve cash flows for businesses. And 5, as I said last week, that Kenya shillings 1 billion from the Universal Health Coverage Kitty be immediately appropriated strictly towards the recruitment of additional health workers to support in the management of the spread of COVID-19. If these measures are deemed to be inadequate, we shall, without hesitation, take even further and more drastic measures to ensure that the cardinal duty of the government and the state, which is the protection of life and property, is assured. So I make this appeal to you once again. Let us adhere to the rules and protocols that have been given to us by the relevant department, which in this case is the Ministry of Health. Let us work together to prevent the spread of this virus. Let us work together to protect life in Kenya. These additional measures have been taken as a clear result of Kenyans failing to heed to advice. Let us not find ourselves being forced to take even sterner action. Fellow citizens, let me begin by saying that the coronavirus, or the COVID-19 pandemic, is an unprecedented global health crisis that has so far, as many of you know, manifested itself in over 184 countries and territories, and globally so far over 400,000 cases of the virus have been reported. Here in our country, Kenya, it has been 12 days since the first confirmed case of coronavirus. Our nation's response has been comprehensive, as it has been multifaceted, with the Ministry of Health leading the charge by announcing policy measures as well as behavioral protocols geared towards limiting the spread of this disease. These policy measures and behavioral protocols continue to dramatically change our way of life. Additionally, various state agencies, as well as private sector entities, have complemented our efforts by implementing further measures, which we appreciate and also applaud. Fellow Kenyans, in recognition of the extraordinary nature of this global tragedy and its enormous local effects here in Kenya, and conscious of our solemn duty as a government to guarantee the enjoyment of social, civil, and economic rights, my administration has made and will continue to make targeted state interventions to cushion every Kenyan from the shocks arising from this coronavirus. I do indeed recognize the anxiety that this pandemic has caused millions of Kenyan families across our nation. Many fearful of what the future may hold for them and their children, and the possibility of job losses and loss of income weighing heavily on the minds of millions of Kenyans.